Greetings, ghouls and ghoulettes. It's your old fiend, Corey, from the Twin Ports Horror Society. And tonight we are creeping up with Keith Tyler Hopkins. Last time you joined us, towards the end of our conversation, we talked about a book you were working on, and the book is now out, so that's why we're touching base again. We're here to talk about Red Betty and the Murder Farm.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there she is. So
yeah, there she is.
Let's this first little part, let's make sure it's kind of spoiler free, and then we'll get into just saying whatever. That way, if anybody is planning on reading it, they know not to get too far into the video. So before then, why don't you sell everybody on the book without giving away too much, and then let everyone know where it's available.
Sure. So I first envisioned the book as kind of a reversal on all the Texas Chainsaw tropes. So we've got a farm. It's a murder farm where all kinds of horrible things happen, except in this book, the good guys live on the farm. And bad guys can go to the farm and pay an exorbitant price to do whatever they want to do there. If they want to build a bomb, if they want to commit a murder, if they want to dispose of a body, they can do it there. On the farm are Mom, Pop, and Betty. And Betty, she's a teenager, late teens, and she decides that she needs to turn this farm, this family business, into something better. So it's kind of her coming of age story and her figuring out what she would like to turn the murder farm into as she enters adulthood.
Excellent.
And it's bloody, it's violent, there's a lot of crazy fight scenes, so I think it's a lot of fun.
It's definitely a lot of fun. So anybody who's planning on, well, first, where can people get this right now? It's out right now.
It's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, Kindle and paperback.
Perfect. So anybody who's planning on reading it soon, if you don't want anything spoiled, you might want to come back to the rest of the video after you've read it. Otherwise, just be warned, don't be mad at me for ruining anything.
Right on.
So I finished reading the book just the other day. It was really fun. It's a quick read. I really felt the story was it's right to the point. There's no nonsense in there. And like you said, it's really bloody and violent. So it was really fun. Was this and we talked about your other book, last time, which is a piece of nonfiction, the Horror Anthology Handbook. So this is your first published work of fiction. Is it the first time that you've really written fiction before? Had you done other stuff that just wasn't, published to this capacity?
Yeah, I've worked on other stuff. I've written short stories, I've written scripts, but nothing that I felt was like really ready for this kind of format. And in terms of the length, it's short and sweet. I kind of always wanted to write something that was like a Goosebumps novel. Like something small that can like fit in your back pocket. You can read in a night or two or three. And it's just really easy to digest. So that's kind of what I envisioned. I didn't want to make like a big, intimidating, like Stephen King, like opus. It's just something short. It's fun. It's easy to read, and it's really bloody.
See, I like that because I don't mind having a lot of it left up to my own imagination. Because I think you did a really good job of filling, just enough in where everything else, you could fill in with your imagination as you're going. Like you didn't go into great lengths about what the characters look like specifically. A lot of them, their names and their first kind of simple actions really filled that out. And so yeah, that was I thought that was I enjoyed that format. I suppose some people who are used to Stephen King, I mean, they may not enjoy that format so much, but I like being able to paint some stuff in myself.
I really appreciate you pointing that out because, with it, in one draft, I didn't even mention Betty's age. I just went right into her character. And one of my proofreaders said, like, you need to actually say how old she is, like, because I just have no idea. So that was one thing that I did get into. But, like, as far as, like, her appearance and the other characters' appearance, I describe a little bit about what they're wearing and stuff. But, I kind of wanted you to just fill in the blanks. If I say, like for instance, Pop, I'm like, Pop enters the scene. He loves pot pies. You can tell just by looking at him. Like everybody's just gonna fill in their own imagination of what a guy who loves pot pies, who's in his 60s, would look like. And it's like I'm content with that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Was actually one of my favorite parts when I first read it, and I was gonna kind of bring that up too about Pop, because like that was like the whole like explanation of him, you know, right in that sentence, and then I was just like, okay, I'm like, I got it. I'm like, I was kind of, you know, still digesting what the format of the book was going to be like, but that was the
Right.
point where I was like, all right, I'm like, I get this now, how this is working out. So yeah, the pot pies part was great. So this book, I mean, it's obviously pretty much marketed, or you know, as a horror book, but there's definitely elements of fantasy in there as well too, and that's kind of why I wanted to you know, warn people of spoilers going forward, because you know, when I picked it up, I was like, all right, Red Betty and the Murder Farm. I'm like, people are gonna get murdered. It's not, you know, I'm thinking, you know, chainsaw, or you know, anything else, Motel Hell, stuff like that. And then the fantasy elements kind of start creeping in. So what was kind of your influences to blend the horror and the fantasy, and did it kind of, was that the intention the whole time, or is it one of those things where it just kind of took that turn as you were trying things out?
Yeah, it took that turn as I was trying things out. The superhero stuff, the fantasy stuff, it all kind of crept in slowly. Because initially, I just wanted to write like a bloody as hell kind of story. And so it did start off very much like straight horror, straight slasher. And then the more I wrote and the more fun I had writing the violent scenes, I started to think like, well, how the hell do these characters survive all this stuff? So then I was like, well, what if it's this kind of heightened reality? And, you know, there's not exactly people flying around like Superman from other planets, but like some people have heightened abilities. Some people can survive things that would not be survivable in the real world. And that's, you know, coming from that standpoint, more and more superhero stuff and fantasy stuff just kind of started to work itself in. But in the beginning, when I first started, it was just a slasher story. But you know, it was a lot of fun to like work in different elements from different genres in there. I hope I was, you know, successful in that regard. But it was definitely like a ton of fun to write.
Well, it took me a minute to kind of pick up on it. I think like you know, they start talking about Dr. Cocky, and I was just like, all right, who's this guy? And then you know, his henchmen come in, and you know, it starts to fill out, and you know, his abilities didn't really click until a little bit later, the Dr. Taki. But like, I liked a lot of the villains and the henchmen. They kind of gave me like a Batman 66 or Dick Tracy style vibe, especially with the names and stuff.
Yeah.
So was that like, what kind of influences were there in regards to those characters as far as
Yeah,
your
you know, I'm glad you mentioned Batman because, like, you know, particularly like the Mad Hatter, he has all these like wacky villains, you know, like wacky henchmen. I mean, and you know, they're, I forget their names, but they're these two like big, humongous, like twin guys
yeah,
in the Batman comics, and they, you know, they just beat the crap out of them in the Nightfall series, and those kinds of characters were really in my mind, especially like Dick Tracy villains, you know, with the Tommy guns and hey, see, you know, we're gonna get you, see, you know, so with the villains, it's kind of like I kind of wanted to write them that like they're kind of ridiculous. Like in the world of the novel, they're certainly scary, but like if they were to just jump into our world, they'd almost be like kind of laughable and kind of ridiculous. I try to make that part of the fun of it, you know, which it's just this like ridiculous bloody melee. Everyone's got stupid costumes on. They all go by these weird names like Bomblastio. So, you know, I just try to have fun with it.
yeah, that's one of the things that made it so fun. You know, I like, I mean, personally, I like when stuff doesn't take itself too serious. I mean, if you're writing about a murder farm, you know, to begin with,
Right.
why not go that route? You know, I mean, some people will be like, yeah, I'll read a serious book about a murder farm, and me, I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, does it have to be serious? Like, so,
Yeah. And for me, like horror, I think in my mind, horror is at it's working at its best when I'm laughing. You know, like for me,
mhm.
like a horror movie should be fun. And I mean, of course, there are those like classics like Silence of the Lambs and stuff that are like deadly serious, but like I tend to enjoy horror movies like when I can laugh with them and at them. You know, like Evil Dead. You know, it's just like, or Evil Dead 2 in particular. It's just like so outlandish that it just becomes funny, and you can just like laugh with the gore. So that's kind of where I come at it from, and that's because that's when I'm having the most fun in the movie theater.
Definitely, this would be a great film as well too. probably a bit more of a budget than some of the other stuff that you've worked on in order to make this come across on the screen. But
Yeah.
if you were to just fantasize about that, like what kind of actors or anybody would you imagine casting in this film if you had the unlimited budget?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna probably laugh, but like for pop, I'd love to get like somebody like Tom Arnold, like somebody who's like, you know, he did like some 90s comedies, but nobody really knows what he's been up to for like 15 years. And then all of a sudden he's in this and he's like smashing people's chests in with sledgehammers. I think that would be really fun. And like mom, I always pictured like Catherine O'Hara, like the mom from Home Alone. Because
Oh
I think
yeah.
like on the same level, like if you just saw her all of a sudden like throwing knives and they're jamming into people's wrists, you'd be like, what the hell is this? So that's kind of how I always envisioned it. And you're right, like it's budget wise, it's like way above anything that I've worked on so far, or even really have the ability to work on. So like, in my like wildest dreams, if someone like Jordan Peele like optioned the book and like made the movie for 5 million, that's like my dream come true. Because I think in Hollywood terms, you could do this movie for a pretty low budget, like low millions.
Oh yeah.
In my terms, that's like an astronomical amount of money. I'm in no way prepared to like make a movie like that right now, but it's fun to dream about.
So I imagine you're still working on the second Gravedigger Dave movie. Is there any updates that you can give us on that as well too?
I've kind of just started tinkering on it. For the past few years, I've always been working on two projects at once, like a movie and a book, but I'm never working on both at the same time. Because like when I'm working on one, the other becomes this kind of like scary monster in my mind, where I'm like, God, like I don't know, like how am I going to get back into this? Is it total like garbage? And I don't know if I have like the juice to like finish it up and make it good. So like now that Red Betty's done, I've just kind of started going back into that Gravedigger Dave project and like tinkering around with it. And like I'm really happy with what I've found in the project. Like when I start looking around, I'm like, all right, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to work with here. There's definitely a movie here. It's definitely going to be better than the first one, like by a long shot. So yeah, I'm really excited about it to get back to work on it.
Is it done filming, or are you still kind of where are you at with everything?
Yeah, all the filming, as they say, is in the can. It's all done. So, and it's already partially edited. There's a lot of rough edits that are kind of already on the timeline in there. So I just got to go in there and sweeten it and just kind of cut it all the way to the end of the movie. But I've got a good start, so I feel confident about it. When I was midway through Red Betty, I was like, oh God, I don't know how I'm gonna finish that thing. And then when I was filming Gravedigger Dave 2 and thinking about, all right, I got to write Red Betty also. I'm like, God, that thing is so intimidating. I don't know how I'm ever going to finish that book. But, it's just like one step at a time. I try not to look too far forward.
Well, okay, so you say that, but now at the end of the book, now there's two more projects in here that you talk about. So I don't know how much you really do have going on. So you talk about Attack of the Duluth Zombies. That says it's a collaborative horror anthology. And then Marco the Beast, and that's another just looks like just another book that you're doing on your own. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, that's another novel that exists only in my head. I mean, I might have some like notes on my phone somewhere, but like I saw the cover and I was like, oh man, this cover art is so sweet. And the way indie cover art works is you kind of buy the rights to it. And the rights were super cheap and the cover was perfect for this thing I have in my brain. I'm like, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to put it out there as a thing I'm working on. But I am nowhere on that story. But Attack of the Duluth Zombies is really cool because this year, I don't know if you're familiar with Duluth, but you should probably go because you'd love it. It's a Duluth comic book convention. They did it in 2019. I had to skip 2020, but they're doing it again in October 2021. And there I'm going to do like a short story writing panel where everyone's going to get to collaborate individually on their own short stories, but they're all taking place at DuluthCon, and they're all about the same subject, which is what if there was a zombie attack today, right now at DuluthCon. So by the end of the panel, everybody will hand in their short stories, and whatever we get, we're going to publish as an ebook and a paperback. That'll just be free. It's totally not for profit. It's totally just a writing exercise to show people like, hey, like, you know, this writing thing isn't so hard. Like, you can do this. You can get a story published in a real book that's, you know, available on Barnes and Noble. Like, it's a doable thing. So that's kind of what I'm working on next.
Nice. So that's something that's going to be worked on in the future, or was that worked on at the last one as well?
No, it's going to be worked on this fall,
Okay.
2021 DuluthCon in October. And yeah, you know, we're going to start advertising it this summer and just see how it goes. So that's very much an idea that's still in like the forming phase. But I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it.
Nice. So is that the one that they do at the Encounter?
Yeah, it was at the
Okay.
Encounter last year. This year it's going to be at one of the like empty spaces in the mall, which will be cool because I think it'll be a little bit bigger. It'll be you know, a little bit safer for people to spread out and distance and, you know, social distance, whatever you want to do. So I think it'll be really cool.
And so where can people get more information about that event? That's already booked and everything?
Yeah, that's booked. Tickets are on sale now. I think probably the best place to find it is on Facebook. If you just search DuluthCon, you can buy tickets there through Eventbrite, and it is super cool. I mean, they had cosplay, they had stormtroopers up from the cities the first year. Comic book stores came with like all the inventory. There was gamers, like people playing board games all over the place. It was just really fun.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm gonna have to check that out for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess, is there anything else that you want to tell anybody about Red Betty and the Murder Farm, or any of your other projects before we call it a night here?
No, I don't think so. I just appreciate you reading it and having me on the show. You know, like, your Facebook group is so awesome, and everybody on there is like so much fun and so supportive. So it's cool to be on there to, like, you know, joke about memes and like major Hollywood, you know, horror films. But then also when somebody like me comes out and is like, hey, I'm working on this stupid little project, like, everybody's super, super cool about it. So it's just really awesome. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, no, it's great. I can't say enough nice things about all the people who are participating in all the conversations as well. And it's also great for me to see when people have projects and that people are out there trying to support them. So it's a beautiful cycle that we have going on there. So it's wonderful. Well, excellent. Well, I'm going to thank you again for joining us to kind of catch up on this project. And again, that's Amazon and Barnes and Noble, correct?
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks again. Everybody go check this out, and you have yourself a good night.